The Lions are no longer at the foot of the table. That honours now goes to Vere United, and Racing United are now in pole position for the top 6. But we start one place and one place only, and that's at the Anthony Spalding Complex, where the Junglers gave their fans tricks and treats. This is Match Week 28 Review Show. Yes people, welcome back to JPL Fan, and it's good to say we have JPL action to review again. After the old referee not being available thing, it's good to have regular programming back. So as promised, we're heading to Anthony Spalding Complex, whereas technically it is a home game for the Chapelton Maroons as they welcome the visit of Arnett Gardens. In terms of the starting lineup for the Maroons, well, Prince Daniel Smith is back from his injury to return in between the sticks. Demari Deacon as well is also returning to the starting lineup, while youngster Dustin Cohen kept his spot in the team. As for Arnett Gardens, Tyrell Williams kept his spot in goal. We get a rare look at Tyreek Jones, and it's an all-out attack up front with both Fabian Reid and Warner Brown up top. Now, when the game kicked off, it was quickly apparent this just seemed is going to be a day for the Junglers to enjoy themselves. In no time, they would take the lead, and what a way they managed to pull it off. Some good work done here on the left-hand side, saw Thomas hold the ball well enough before he dislayed off at the top of the 18-yard box for the unrushing Shepherd, who lashes it in the upper 90 from so far and into the back of the net. 1-0 just like that, and it was a peach hour goal from Ramon Shepherd. Chapelton were a bit too eager to retaliate and thrown caution to the wind far too early, so they left gaps in behind. And that just worked so well for the unrushing Arnett Gardens. Here on the counter, a good ball was sprayed into the box. It went a bit too deep, but Prince Daniel Smith chased after it along with Fabian Reid, who did well to keep himself composed before finding Jaheim Thomas in the box with the goal gaping, and he also kept his composure to smash it in. 2-0, and Arnett Gardens at this point, it is simply flying. And not long after that, it seemed that Chapelton did not learn their lessons. This time they were caught on the ball in the middle of the park before a nice through ball was played in for Warner Brown, this time to race in one-on-one with Prince Daniel Smith, and he would now take his chance as well as he tucked it into the back of the net. 3-0 in the first half, and it was practically game over already, as the Maroons, who did start off fairly well in possession at the start of the game, were smashed for 3 in 10 minutes. And of course, you can understand the players not really wanting to come out of the dressing room after all of that, and they cannot play like that in the second half, as Arnett basically just dominated possession and practically toyed with the Maroons. You just felt that more goals were coming for the home side, but if I didn't think it would take so long, we had to wait all the way into the 82nd minute, where a simple ball here was floated in behind once again in the penalty area. Fabian Reid popped up for a good shot on target, and it went in, of course, and it was easy peasy for the legendary striker, 4-0. But if you thought that was easy, I'm not sure what you would even call this one. The ball played in again into the box from the left-hand side. Gawain Astin seemed favoured for the ball, but somehow he was given a googly and the ball spun around him, and land again for Fabian Reid to smash it home for his brace on the night. 5-0, and the Junglers are simply just having one of their easiest nights so far this season. So much so that there was still time in injury time for some tricks and treats by Shade Smith. Just look at this nifty footwork right here, but he got by his man and almost set up Fabian Reid for a very late night hat-trick, but the ball didn't make its way into the net this time, and the Maroons can at least say they would take 5 and not 6. But still, this was a very damaging defeat, as the final whistle will be blown for 5-0 on the board. So it was basically a one-sided game, but will that be reflected in the numbers? Well, Chapelton managed to have 6 total shots in the game compared to 14 from Arnett Gardens. The Maroons managed to have 2 on target compared to the Junglers' 9. It wasn't too much of a dirty game, as there was only 1 yellow card in the game that went to the Junglers, and there was no red card, of course. In terms of possession, I thought it would be a little bit higher, but Arnett managed to have 60% of it all compared to the Maroons' 40%. Alright, let me start with Arnett Gardens, because this one will be very simple. But what a performance that was for technically what is considered a away game for them, and it should be very encouraging for the Junglers fans to see that Warner Brown and Fabian Reid can score goals together in the starting lineup. But as for Chapelton Maroons fans, just look away at this point, simply just don't return or revisit this match at all. just throw it in the dumpster and just burn it all. So sadly for them, once again, the game ended Chapelton Maroons 0, Arnett Guns 5. We now move on to our next game, which was going to be a very interesting Portmore derby that's being played in Kingston, as both Racing United and Dunbeholden are on great form. In terms of the starting lineup for Racing United, well, there's a brand new face in goal. Omar Brown is the one in between the sticks. Former Arnett left back Odell Brown will also suit up in the starting lineup, and once again youngster Stefan Spence will lead the line as the number 9. While Dunbeholden, well, under Harold Thomas, they basically look very familiar, with really only Malachi Douglas, the only real stranger in this starting lineup. Now, with Racing being unbeaten in the last 9 games, they definitely give the presence of a bigger team, and they started off the game believing as such. They dominated the play as soon as the game was started, and it didn't take long before they started locking in couple chances in front of the Dunbeholden goal. None better than this one after some great work by Odell Brown, saw the ball looped over to the back post to find an unmarked Tajay Grant, but he side-footed the ball somehow over the bar. After that, it took some time, but Dunbeholden finally found their footing and will start to cause some trouble of their own, especially from their number 10, Nicorai Christian, who tested Brown on a couple of free kicks from just outside the box. But that will be as close as any of these Portmore teams will get before the halftime whistle. Second half though, regular order of the day returned as Racing once again started to dominate the ball and was starting to play some nifty football as they looked to carve up the opening goal. But it actually came from a turnover by Dunbeholden in the midfield after some good pressure right here. Saw the ball finding star by Nikai Ellis, who did well to place a good weighted ball for Tajay Grant into the box, and he gave Damien Hyatt the old snake eyes before beating him at his near post. 1-0 to Racing, and it just seems that there's no stopping this young team. Credit to Dunbeholden though, they came down the other end to try to get the equalizer as soon as they can. Good work here, saw the ball find Malachi Douglas in the middle of the box, who tried to side-foot it on towards goal. That saw it was ricocheted by his own teammate on target, but Brown did well to pull off a good reaction save, even though that last touch was offside. But from that, Dunbeholden was adamant they can get an equalizer out of this game and were throwing caution to the wind, which meant the game was a bit stretched and saw Racing got numerous chances on the counter, especially this one here where they were unlucky that the ball hit off the inside of the post but not cross the line. Odell Brown, who has been stellar all game long, got his chance of his own to cut in here on his right foot, but he's lost his shot over the bar. Racing wasn't done with the chances. They had one more big one here from a set piece that saw the ball fall kindly for Cole in the middle of the 6-yard box, but his shot also ballooned over the bar and off for safety. Racing came so close to icing the game, but they didn't pull it off. But lucky for them, they won't need another goal as the final whistle was blown not long after that, and Racing now move on to 10 games undefeated and looking like they can secure that last playoff spot. So things are looking rosy for Racing United. How was the game in terms of stats? Well, they were the better team in terms of attempts. They had 10 compared to 8 from their St. Catherine rivals. They managed to put 4 of those on target, Racing United, compared to 3 on target from Dunbeholden. 10 fouls for Racing United, 5 fouls for Dunbeholden, 3 yellow cards for Racing, and 2 yellow cards for Dunbeholden. No red cards in this derby, and the possession was fairly equal between the two rivals. Okay, let's start with Dunbeholden. You probably felt that, the game that was postponed over the weekend came at the worst time for them because they were on such momentum and they don't want to keep that gravy train going. As for Racing United, I can't say enough how impressive they have been since the start of the new year. So once again, the final from a Portmore derby in the jungle, Racing United 1, Dunbeholden 0. Now, with Racing winning, of course, all the pressure in the world is now on Waterhouse for the final playoff spot, and they will have a tough trip to the league leaders, Mount Pleasant. In terms of the starting lineup for the league leaders, Mount Pleasant had the familiar faces of Shaquille Bradford, Raheem Edwards, Daniel Green, all in the squad, but there was also space for youngster Jamari Howell and Franco Celestine. As for Waterhouse, Akeem Bernard continued to debut as the Captain Roach is still out, and their very own youngsters of Quitz Paul, Nashawn Bolt, and Dylan John continue to debutize in the starting 11. Now, if you're Marcel Gale and you come here into Drax Hall, you will want your team to manage through the opening minutes without conceding a goal. But just 2 minutes in, that script had to be ripped apart. A beautiful through pass was played in for Daniel Green, who did not waste it and managed to tuck it home to give Mount Pleasant an early lead in the 2nd minute. Waterhouse, for their credit, stuck to their game plan and held possession, but at no point they looked like they were going to trouble Mount Pleasant goal in retaliation. And after some time, Mount Pleasant started to dominate the ball and looked quite comfortable doing it so as well, and should have even doubled their lead at the 30th minute. A good free kick played to the back post by Irving saw his teammate rising highest and heading the ball against the crossbar. And with Mount Pleasant wondering how they never scored, Waterhouse took advantage of their confused state and went straight up the field, Mount Pleasant box, looking for a goal, but they were stopped at the doorstep by what looks like an illegal hand, but it was not given, and I must admit on the replay, they may have had a case. That would end up being the last main action before the end of the first half. Second half now, Mount Pleasant started the same way that they did for the majority of the first. Daniel Green especially looked eager to notch himself a brace or even a hat-trick. But the game remaining 1-0 for majority of the second half, so Waterhouse was still in the game, and with Andre Fletcher still on the pitch, an any set piece could have been fairly deadly. But this clever ruse right here led to their best shot on goal right at the near post, but Davis did well and was able to match it and get it over safety. But that would be the best Waterhouse would able to muster, as Mount Pleasant would once again dominate the ball and see out the rest of the game quite comfortably, and with a little bit of composure could have probably find the second goal as well. But in the end they would not need it, as Mount Pleasant will win this one out 1-0. So it was a close game in terms of the scoreboard, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, we don't have possession this time, but I could tell you from the eye test, Mount Pleasant looked like they had majority. In terms of total shots, they dominated there as well. They had 12 compared to 3 from Firehouse Nation. In terms of shots on goal, Mount Pleasant managed to have 5 compared to only 1 from Waterhouse. 4 corners to the home team, 5 corners to the away side, 2 yellow cards to the home team, and 3 yellow cards to the visitors. No red cards were in this match. Alright, let's start with Waterhouse here. Man, their recent poor form has really come at the worst time in the season, as they now seem to be pegged back in the table by a surging Racing United. As for Mount Pleasant, well, they keep trucking along to what can be an impressive tally at the end of the season, no doubt, with the only blemish today that they did not score more goals. But they didn't need it, as once again the final results say Mount Pleasant 1, Waterhouse 0. So with Waterhouse losing, another team that's very close to that number 6 position is Tivoli Gardens, and they now have a big chance to gain some ground, but it won't be easy as they travel to Clarendon to take on a very hungry Humble Lion who would need the points to keep in the division. In terms of the starting line for the home team, Afiba Chambers is back in the squad, so is DeAndre Brown, but all eyes should be on the new star, Stephen Barnett, to bag them some goals. As for the visitors, Tivoli Gardens, Horatio Morgan is back into the starting lineup, so is Steve Clark, but sadly there was no Anthony Nelson whatsoever in the squad. Now, when the game started, Molynes started the game much better, but eventually Tivoli would find their footing. Nonetheless, Molynes were the team that looked the most likely to open the scoring, as they would often create some good decent chances and decent looks at goal. But they had to wait right before the halftime break for the lead. Some good work down the right hand side freed up Afiba Chambers in the box for him to be freed and power shot past Horton and into the back of the net. 1-0 to the host, and based on the run of play, you could say they deserve it. That would end up being practically the last kick of the first half, while second half fans would witness a completely different game, largely thanks to some pesky thunderclouds. The heavens would end up open up and heavy rain would end up fall, which caused the field to be a bit waterlogged and slowed up the game. But that didn't stop Molynes from doubling their lead in the 78th minute. A ball was played down the left-hand channel and the Lions' main striker, Stephen Barnett, raced in on goal before coolly finishing and got himself another goal in front of his new fans. 2-0, and Humble Lion were the simply loving life. But maybe they were loving life a little too much, as only 4 minutes later, Tivoli would cut that lead in half. Humble Lion did well to defend a corner, but weren't switched on when the ball was once again lobbed back into the box, and John I. Williams came crashing in on net and got one back for the men from West Kingston. 2-1, and Tivoli were fighting to try and get something out of this game. But Barnett and the Lions weren't to be denied, as he once again would get in behind the back line before executing this delightful chip on the run over the keeper to restore the home team 2-goal advantage. But Tivoli would not give up the fight though, and once again will cut the lead in 84th minute when Rashard Oldfield will tap in right here at close range. But that's all Tivoli would get out of this one, as try as they might, as the final whistle would be blown and the Lions would pull off a huge win here at home. So crucial 3 points for Humber Lion, but how was the game in terms of stats? Well, once again we have no possession, so let us go straight to total efforts, where Humber Lion had 4 total shots in the game compared to 5 from Tivoli Gardens. Humber Lion managed to have 3 of those on target compared to 3 on target for Tivoli Gardens as well. 3 corners to the home team and whopping 10 corners to Tivoli Gardens, who normally scores for at least one of those. There were 3 yellow cards for the home team and only 1 yellow card for the visitors. No red cards were in the game. Alright, let's start with Tivoli here. They're becoming a bit streaky of a team, and it seems lately they can't pull off a consistent 90 minutes. That will hurt them in the chase for the top 6. As for Humber Lion, they just won survival, and this massive win has brought the team much closer. So anyway, once again, it was an exciting game that finishes Humber Lion 3, Tivoli Gardens 2. Now with Humber Lion getting a crucial win, Harbour View, one of their relegation rivals, would need to match them in a tough road trip to catch an all to take on Montego United. In terms of starting lineup for the home team, well, this squad basically picks itself nowadays, with Malachi Sterling being the only real newcomer in that starting lineup. As for the Stars of the East, well, Chidilu Chukwemeka makes back the starting lineup after scoring last time out, and there was also a return of Timur Lewis and the St. Lucian of Venus Myers. Now, when the game kicked off, it was not surprising that Mobe would start the much brighter, while Harbour View was doing a pretty decent job in terms of defense. Claudio Ferreira was especially coming fully involved in a lot of Mobe attacks, as the home team keep coming forward and knocking at the door. But they would not manage to find any goals in that first half. But the home team would continue the trend into the second half, as they were looking to take the lead largely from the right hand side. And it is from that same side of the pitch we would get a wonder strike. Fletcher received the ball here before cutting inside on his left before unleashing a dipping curving shot that would beat Bennett from roughly 25 yards out and crash into the back of the net. All I can say is wow, and that is a certified goal of the month contender. Harbour View would show brief moments of fight back after that goal, but Mobe would actually go on and see the game out for a hard-fought 1-0 victory. So as you can see, information on the game was a bit light. Hopefully we'll get more answers from the game stats. Well, we have the possession, but we do know that Montego United had 6 total shots compared to only 1 from Harbour View. 1 shot was on target for the home team, and what a shot it was, and 1 shot was on target for the visitors as well. 7 corners to the home teams and 4 corners to Harbour View, 1 yellow card to the home team and 3 yellow cards to the Stars of the East. There was no red cards in this match. Alright, let's start with Montego Bay right here. Well, it was a first win for the new Paul Tiga Davis era, and that should do wonders for him and his team's confidence as they look to try to catch Arnett Guns for that last automatic semi-final spot. As for Harbour View, well, this was a setback. They didn't really do enough to get anything out of the game, and they know, in terms of relegation, destiny is still in their hands. But for now, it's a defeat, as the score says Montego Bay United 1, Harbour View 0. We move on to our final game, which was a big relegation 6-pointer back on the Ash Wednesday, as Molynes United will take on Vere United. In terms of the starting lineup for Molynes, Marlon Pennycook goes back into the starting lineup. There was also a rare start for veteran Nikisha Murray, as well as a first real look on Dante Fitz. As for Vere United, they were boosted by the return of Denzel McKenzie from injury. Veteran keeper Michael Harrison was into the goal, and of course Kevin Atkinson will once again lead the line. Now, when the game kicked off, it was all the men in green, as Vere seemed that they were the one more desperate to get all 3 points, and they will get the right start. From a corner, the ball was played in, and Rabina Garden, who has been doing this all season long, rose highest and knocked the ball home. 1-0 to Vere, and they could not have asked for a better start. Well, it got even better not too long after that as they once again came down that right hand side. Ross did well to find Phillips, who did even better with his composure and a good pass. Find Rabina Garn again at the top of the 18-yard box. And speaking of composure, just look at that goal. He simply just passed it into the empty net to double his and Vere tally of the game so far. 2-0, and Vere must be thinking at this point that they're in dreamland. But their defense is still stuff of nightmares. From a simple set piece out here on the left hand side, the ball was playing at the near post, and Shane Murray got away from his marker a little bit too easy to flip the ball on target and into the back of the net. 2-1, and Molynes would now be thinking they're back into this game. And belief was definitely there, as for the rest of the half, they would dominate the ball and all the chances. They will come close not only once but twice, but just could not find an equalizer before the halftime whistle. But Molynes would not be denied. They would find their equalizer very early in the second half. A simple ball played over the backline of Vere, who seemed that they were in total control until the pace and strength of Marlon Pennicook and stole the ball from Mitchell before he raced in on goal and finished with a plum to give the equalizer to Molynes United. 2-2, and all the momentum were now with the men in yellow. But Vere would eventually settle down in the second half and realize that the game is slipping away and should have really taken back the lead. Just look at this delightful chip pass by Kyle Butler in behind the back line. The player did well to keep his nerve and play the ball over the keeper. Unfortunately for him, he crashed off the top of the crossbar and out for safety. Massively unlucky for Vere Phoenix United. But from there, the game was fairly even as both teams were jostling to try and find a winner, as a point would not have been helpful to neither team, but Molynes would end up being the one to produce a spell of magic. Just look at this neat touch into McLaughlin, who went at the Vere back line before a nice reverse pass for Jason Wright, who seemed that he had all the time in the world to pick his spot and get it past Harrison and into the back of the net. 3-2 to Molynes, and it's a former Phoenix player, Jason Wright, breaking the heart of his former boss. That was practically the last play of the game, as the whistle would be blown right after that, and Vere somehow lost that one after being 2-0 up. So it was a thrilling game, but how was the game in terms of stats? In terms of possession, both teams were fairly equal. Molynes had 52, while Vere Phoenix United had 48. Both teams brought their shooting boots as well. Molynes had 11 total shots compared to 10 from Vere Phoenix United. Molynes managed to have 5 of those on target compared to only 3 from Vere Phoenix United. There were some fouls in the game, of course, 13 in Molynes and 17 in Vere. 1 yellow card to the home team and 4 yellow cards to the visitors. No red cards were in the game. Okay, let's start with Molynes here. I have to give them credit to showing character and fighting back from being 2-0 down, especially so early in the match. This was a massive game for survival, and the players showed that they want to remain in this division. As for poor Vere Phoenix United, I am not sure what advice anybody can give them at this point in time. They're clearly looking like the favorites to go down, despite having such an array of talents in the team. Dark days ahead from the men from Clarendon. But anyway, it was a good game nonetheless, and once again it finishes Molynes United 3, Vere Phoenix United 2. So that was match week 28, but we don't even have time to look back in fondness, as match week 29 is already here at our doorsteps. Portmore will be at home at Fernita Park this Sunday to take on Tivoli Gardens. Dunbeholden will be at home and welcome the league leaders Mount Pleasant. Harbour will be back at the compound and welcome Molynes United. Perhaps the game of the round will be happening in Clarendon, as Vere will be taking on Humber Lion. And Waterhouse will welcome a tired Cavalier at Jewsland at 6 p.m. Chapelton Maroons will be back in the jungle to take on Montego United, and the home team Arnett Guns will host a big clash against Racing United. But anyway guys, thank you for joining me for once again another review show. Thank you all for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on the JPL leading up to the final in May. Otherwise, for great JPL content, you're already at the right place, Champion Fan. YouTube, big up yourself.